When the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass was first announced, I was stoked. Mario Kart fans were going to be treated with 12 brand new cups, bringing the total number of tracks in the game from 48 to 96, times 2. That being said, I never thought we'd be getting 6 additional characters as well, considering the lack of effort Nintendo put into the first wave. The courses looked like they were ripped straight out of Tour, which is literally what the case was, which is fine if they had actually been polished to somewhat match the visual quality of the tracks in the base game. Needless to say though, the Booster Course Pass has come a long way since Wave 1, as the tracks seem to have a lot more effort put into them, and we've got additional characters in Birdo, Petey Piranha, Wiggler, and finally Kamek making his appearance in a mainline Mario Kart game. And yes, I do not consider Mario Kart Tour a mainline Mario Kart game. I'm sorry about that if you disagree. Just from my perspective, I think Mario Kart Tour is like this little spin-off side game to a spin-off side game. Now, with one wave left to go, we're 2 characters away from completing the Booster Course Pass. So the question is, who will these characters be? Let's find out. To be considered as one of the potential final 2 characters, the characters must be from Mario Kart Tour, since all of Birdo, Petey Piranha, Wiggler, and Kamek were also in Tour before they made their appearance in the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. And it also makes sense because every single track chosen for the Booster Course Pass was at some point in Tour before or after they were included in the Booster Course Pass. So yeah, that means characters like Honey Queen and Rob are going to be excluded. Even though they were past inclusions in Mario Kart, they are not in Tour. And again, I think that's probably for the better, because we're getting rid of Honey Queen. That's a good thing. I'm going to be removing all of the character variants such as Musician Mario and Kimono Peach from consideration, strictly because I don't think Nintendo's going to put in these character alternates in the Booster Course Pass, because all the characters up to this point have been original characters. I'm going to be ranking 15 potential characters on a tier list based on their chances of being one of the 2 chosen for the Booster Course Pass. And the tiers are going to be most likely, likely, possible, unlikely, and no chance. First up, we have Nabbit. Nabbit is a character I'd absolutely love to see in a mainline Mario Kart. Like Kamek, he'd essentially be a newcomer to the series, and he also follows the current trend of Mario enemies being added to the game. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe has also sold really well, so having Nabbit in the game makes sense to coincide with the game's immense success. While Nabbit has the Mario enemy thing going for him, I don't think he's the most likely pick for the roster, so he's going to go in the possible tier. Next up, we have Monty Mole. Monty Mole will be a pretty out of left field pick for the final wave, so for that reason, I don't think he'll make the cut. And if he does, I and many other people will be immensely disappointed considering there are so many better picks than him. I mean, just imagine the final wave. You got the final 2 characters, it's a grand finale, amazing courses, Rainbow Road from Wii, and then you get Monty Mole as a final character in the game. I mean, it's not an out of character thing for Nintendo to do, but I really hope they don't stoop to that level. The only thing he has going for his chances is that he's a Mario enemy, so he's gonna have to go in the unlikely tier. Keeping in line with the Mario enemies theme here, we've got Chargin Chuck. Definitely a cooler character than Monty Mole, but again, there's so many more interesting characters out there. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna have to put him in the unlikely tier with Monty Mole. Hammer Bro is probably one of the best enemy inclusions that can be made to the Booster Course Pass at this point. He has his boomerang, fire, and ice alternates, which can be added to the game in a similar vein to the Yoshi alternates, and he's obviously a far more iconic character than any of the aforementioned baddies. I mean, who doesn't love to hate Hammer Bro? And again, him being a Mario enemy does help his odds. He's gonna go in the likely tier. Breaking the Mario enemy trend, we've got Poochy. Poochy just recently made his debut to Mario Kart Tour, which can be a good sign of his odds to make it into the game. He's from Yoshi's Island, which also has a recently added track to the Booster Course Pass as well, but I don't think he's particularly likely or unlikely to make the cut. While some people may be clamoring for his inclusion in the game, he's not top of mind for me personally, but that still doesn't rule out his possibility as an inclusion. He's gonna have to go in the possible tier. Now for some of the borderline character ults. Captain Toad is first, and I really wouldn't like him to be an inclusion in the Booster Course Pass, because although I like him as a character, he's just not unique enough. He's way too similar to Toad. I'd personally much prefer Nintendo just add alternate colors for Toad in the next update, similar to Yoshi, Birdo, and Shy Guy. Speaking of which, it just makes me wonder why they haven't. I mean, Toad comes in various colors. This is a well-known fact. We've seen him in the Mario Bros games. We've seen him in the Mario movie recently with all those different variations of Toad. It just makes sense for Toad to come in colors. I know I'm making this more of a spiel about Toad, but it just makes sense. With all that being said, it wouldn't be out of character for Nintendo to include him, so he's gonna have to be in the unlikely tier. Here we go. Peachette. Yeah, I'm sure everybody wants to see her playable in this game. Again, if Nintendo wants some new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe rep, they'd be better off going with Nabbit, even though Peachette is realistically a better representative of the new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe aspect of the game. I don't even know if I'd consider her a variant to Toadette or Peach, but that's beside the point. At least Pink Gold Peach is laughably bad to the point where it's fun to have her in the game as a troll character. Peachette is just a worse version of Cat Peach to me. No chance here. Now, including this character might be breaking my initial rules, but he's just too cool not to talk about. Meowser would be one of the best variant inclusions to the game. He just looks awesome and he's unique enough to be considered separate from Bowser and Dry Bowser. Not to mention the fact that he complements Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury quite well. And while I really wouldn't mind Meowser's inclusion, I don't feel like it would be top of mind for Nintendo. No chance here. I would absolutely not be surprised if the next two characters are the actual picks for the Booster Course Pass. SNES Mario and SNES Donkey Kong Jr. seem like very typical final character inclusions in these type of games. These sort of unique characters that come in a completely different art style, their sprite art style, and also have a special novelty to them. I feel like if one is being included though, the other is almost guaranteed to be included as well, so I'm putting them in the possible tier. The last 5 characters are arguably the ones that we want to see the most. Let's start with Diddy Kong. Diddy Kong has been hinted towards being included in not only Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but also in the original Mario Kart 8. Perhaps he was a cut character early into development, because an official Spanish Nintendo magazine included Diddy Kong as one of the many unlockable characters in the game. And knowing that Kamek was cut from the original Mario Kart and eventually made his appearance in the Booster Course Pass does raise hope for Diddy Kong's inclusion as well. Not to mention how he's been hinted towards being a character in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe through the Mario Kart Hot Wheels line, where he's seen riding the pipe frame and Mach 8 with the standard tires from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I just feel like with all of this information, Diddy's inclusion is all but inevitable. Most likely tier. The next character is the poster child of Mario Kart Wii, and arguably the poster child of Mario Kart in general, and I'm talking about none other than Funky Kong. Funky Kong is one of the most wacky picks for Mario Kart to this day, and considering how he's pretty much more of a Mario Kart character at this point than a Donkey Kong character, I think having him as part of the roster is only fitting. The only caveat is that his chances are highly dependent on Diddy Kong's chances of making it in, as I don't see how Diddy Kong doesn't get in and Funky Kong gets in. And even if Diddy Kong is on, Funky isn't 100% guaranteed to be on because there are other realistic picks that can go with Diddy as well. If both Funky and Diddy are added to the game, that makes the entire Mario Kart Wii roster playable, which is an added bonus. He's gonna have to go in the likely tier. Dixie Kong is the only Kong we're going to be talking about that hasn't made an appearance in a mainline Mario Kart game. That is, if you're excluding Tour. Like Funky, I feel like Dixie's chances are completely dependent on Diddy's. There is absolutely zero chance that Dixie is going to be chosen without Diddy. It just doesn't make any sense. Dixie's chances are next to none though, as Funky Kong to me is a way likelier priority for Nintendo. And even if Funky Kong isn't chosen, I don't think Dixie is top of mind for Nintendo either. No chance tier. The penultimate character we're going to be talking about is King Bob-omb. Now him making the roster would be the bomb.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Alright, I'm sorry. Anyways, having King Bob-omb make the cut follows the trend of Mario enemies. It also helps that every single character added to the Booster Course Pass has been a boss in a Mario game at some point or another, whether it was Birdo in Super Mario Bros. 2, Wiggler in Super Mario 64, Kamek in New Super Mario Bros. Wii, or Petey Piranha from Super Mario Sunshine. King Bob-omb would also be a new addition to the mainline Mario Kart game, so that novelty is a point for him. Even though I would absolutely be fine with the King Bob-omb addition, I'd much rather have characters like Diddy Kong, Funky Kong, Nabbit, and even Meowser, arguably, over him. Especially since all you'd be seeing from behind is a big black ball with a crown on his head. He's gonna have to go in the possible tier. Finally, we have Pauline. Pauline would make a spectacular addition not just because she's an additional female character, but also because she represents what I believe to be the best Switch game up to this point. Super Mario Odyssey. She's my personal favorite pick to make the cut, and I feel like she's top of mind for Nintendo as well. My only qualms about her odds is that if she's on, her placement on the select screen is going to be really weird, as I personally would put her where Birdo is rather than next to the Koopalings. But that may not be a concern of Nintendo's, and even if it was, they could just rearrange their spots on the roster to make it look better. She's definitely going to be the most likely tier. And that's how I'd rank the 15 unique characters' odds of being the last 2 characters added to the Booster Course Pass. While I do have my personal opinions on which characters I prefer, I try considering who would make realistic choices. I assume the developers are reserving the most anticipated characters for last, so that also factors into my rankings. Thank you all for watching my first ever video. I do hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, I hope you consider liking and subscribing to help me make more videos discussing Mario Kart and more. Thanks again, and blabba away.